Okay, it's that time again. It's time for the obligatory streaming for everybody. I know people are just psyched. They cannot wait to see the new thoughts, the new takes about what the fuck is going on. God, it's late. Should I be doing this late? Ugh. I don't know. I thought there would be more of an audience late at night. I think I was getting, ironically, I think I was getting more views when I was outside this summer. Or maybe even before that. Fuck, who knows? I need to start streaming video games, god damn it. I need to figure out how to do some kind of video game streaming setup. I'm here to, I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. I'm here to talk about long poems. I think everybody should write long poems. I don't think enough people are writing long poems, or at least you don't, I guess in the context of readings and publishing, you don't really, people don't typically publish that stuff or read that stuff, especially at open mics. You've got kind of this small window of time. When you get published, you might publish a page or something, a couple pages, a sonnet, something short. But I think, I don't know, I think there should be a hybrid. Oh, do I really want to do this right now? Maybe I could just cancel now and nobody will know. I was going to kind of wait to do it to tomorrow afternoon, but I already started. I don't know. There's always this. I feel like when I have to be quiet, I need to get this on its feet somehow. I need to get up. I need to get active. But I also like doing it late at night and the kind of quietness. It's more of a listening. I was watching a couple of my streams earlier today to just kind of review and see how I've been doing. The last one was pretty good, actually. It wasn't bad. Which one did I watch? I watched what the hell was I talking about? Well, I watched the one where I was talking about Bruce Boone. That was sort of interesting. But yeah, I think everybody needs to write fucking long poems and read them online. Read them late at night on the internet to your two people that are watching. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Look, I've got a new backdrop here because this is the news. We're talking about the world, the global situation. So we've got a map of the world here to show how serious we are. Right here, there's a map of the world. Like we're fucking CNN or something. We've got the geopolitical situation right there on the wall. And then these are all my suits right here. So everything, I've been recycling the same 7 blazers for 2.5 years now. Need to get some new clothes. I mean, I thought I was going to level up at some point, but just been on the same level basically since since I graduated high school, really. Haven't really leveled up or down. Just kind of even keel. Went to the library today, read the New Yorker's 100th anniversary issue, David Remnick throwing Harold Ross under the bus. What else? It was okay. The magazine doesn't typically write about itself or reference itself, so they had an article all about the editors and the writers and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe I'll just read the fucking poetry. Long poems, I think, are a good listening experience, like podcasts. I don't know, I started to try to embrace things from life and I tried to get inspiration from things other than like literature and poetry. I think things can be too, they can kind of eat, media can kind of eat themselves. They feed off themselves too much. There was this interesting Roy Wood Jr. quote where he was talking about he tries to consume media every week that like is not his media, or like things that he wouldn't typically consume. Like he says, like he'll get gun magazines or something and look at those just to kind of see what those people are thinking, to kind of get out of his own perspective. I thought that was kind of interesting because I think you have to learn things. You're like, in order, the content of your content has to be stuff that happens, things that happen to you in life, things that you learn through experience, little facts. I don't know. um, So it's like, I don't know, you need to feed yourself somehow, read, talk to people like Kanye. There's that Kanye. Not that we should be, I guess it's probably a real bad idea to quote Kanye at a moment like this. Or I guess his name is Ye now, to quote Ye at a moment like this. But he's got that thing about he gets his quote from movies because he doesn't read books. He said this like 15 years ago. He's on stage and he's quoting fucking Spider-Man. Not the thing about great power brings great responsibility. The other one about you either die the hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. He's like, I get my quotes from movies because I don't read. It's like, I think I don't know. That's probably more common than you would think. I think most people are getting their quotes from movies. If that, probably from hip hop, to be honest, from lyrics. That's where people are getting their quotes. But then he's like, or, talk to people, get information from people. I think that's probably I don't know, the best way. We're so on our phones all day. And, what we're going to see, what we are exposed to through the phone is controlled by the tech dark overlords, the dark MAGA fucking PayPal mafia douchebags, the apartheid PayPal tism boys. And so I don't know. Talking to people, getting firsthand information, getting firsthand knowledge, reading. One of the things they were talking about with the New Yorker was, especially William Shawn, was they focused on the reporting, the quality of the reporting. And supposedly William Shawn was a great idea man. That's what Ross said. William Shawn kind of worked under Harold Ross when Harold Ross was the editor. And over time, they kind of assembled all of the elements that would become the New Yorker magazine. It started out as like a humor magazine and kind of a slight, at least that's David Remnick's opinion. And sort of over time, World War II, he says, was kind of what made the New Yorker kind of focus and add this kind of like gravitas or whatever. And supposedly William Shawn was just really good at coming up with ideas for stories. And I think, I don't know, as the media dies or transforms into influencer kind of media, the kind of hearsay of social media accounts, it's not a bad idea maybe to think of yourself as some kind of journalist, or like what are good ideas for stories to do. Like the New Yorker's I remember working on the high school newspaper, right? That was my training as a journalist. I failed it twice. I failed journalism twice in high school. And you had to come up with ideas for stories, right? You got to write about the basketball team, or and so every new edition of the paper, we had to have like a pitch session, where we like sat around and pitched our ideas for this is a story for the next fucking edition of the newspaper, which came out, I don't know, every 2 weeks or something. It was pretty cool, actually, because they distributed it. It was like a fucking chapbook or something. They distributed it every once a month or something in high school. In homeroom, you'd go to homeroom and there'd be a newspaper waiting for you. And, as a writer or something, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for publication in high school, let alone the whole fucking school's going to see it and read it and stuff. So, of course, I wanted to be on the fucking school newspaper. And I don't think I was, or I don't know, most of the stories that people were pitching were like, there are certain things, like Thivner was the journalism teacher. He wanted us to write about shit in the high school, like the basketball team or the wrestling team, or they're going to build a new fucking gym or whatever the hell it is, cafeteria or blah, 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 parking in the fucking senior parking, kind of like journalism stuff. I guess that's what a newspaper is supposed to cover, is like actual things that happen. But I don't know. To me, it was more kind of creative nonfiction. It was an opportunity to sort of like my most famous, because I had a high standard. The reason why I failed journalism is because I didn't want to submit anything that I didn't think was like just like really good. And so there were there was one time I drew a cartoon and it was actually really good for the newspaper, and I didn't submit it because I was just like, it's not good enough. I could be better. And so I just didn't even submit it, when it's like, well, if I would have just submitted it, it was actually pretty good. And I might not have failed. But I had a few good articles where I actually kind of like got to do what I wanted to do, my vision. My most famous article I wrote was about Summit Chase, which was this apartment building in Grandview that John Glenn lived in, and it was kind of Gigi. I don't know. It was just like a kind of an interesting, it was something that was like right in plain sight in our community, Summit Chase. It was this, it was kind of like a New York style. It was tall, fucking 20 stories or something, like condominiums. And so it stuck out, our hometown did not have a skyline at all, right? And so to me, it was sort of a natural object of curiosity, and so I pitched that, but the way that I wrote it was sort of like gonzo journalism, because they wouldn't let me in. I was too shy to kind of like, I don't know, interview people or actually figure out kind of the official channels to do things. Although I did interview Walt Peterson for the high school newspaper. He was like a local cable access legend. He made all these westerns and shit, religious cable access, low budget, sort of imitating whatever TV and movies from the 50s and 60s, but starring like local fucking Columbus weathermen and fucking Arnett Howard, Jim Ganal, Dave Kaler. The local anchormen and shit were like in his public access westerns. And so I interviewed him for the school news. So I did some fucking hard hitting journalism, okay? I'm not just some amateur douchebag with a fucking microphone, okay? Like, I sort of understand the rules of what journalism is supposed to be, who, what, when, where, why, how. But a lot of times they shut my stories down because I was thinking too far outside the box. And, it's like, I don't know, something happened in journalism over the past 30 or 40 years where, like, it became, like, I remember the Lantern, which was the college newspaper at Ohio State, which I was not a part of. It was all op-eds. There was very little actual news reporting. It was all like, here's my opinion about this or that. I want to be sort of like a fucking comedian editorial, like work for crack.com or something. But I write for the college newspaper, so here's like my fucking sort of half-assed pseudo right wing, like jock, Sports Center watching, beer drinking, Midwestern, Big Ten school, comedy writing about, parking passes or whatever. What would they be writing about now? God knows. Any number of fucking Trump policies. They're all like pouring gasoline on a fucking journalistic torch of curiosity. He plays his stinking town like a harp from hell. Let me see. Can I get a nice... That's a nice shot kind of right there, right? We're freshening it up a little bit. I'm not just doing the same boring shot I've been doing. Putting a little bit of production value into this. Are my parents watching? Thanks for tuning in, everybody who's tuning in, whoever you are, wherever you are. What else is new? Yeah, journalism. Yeah, so why the fuck did I start talking about journalism? Well, it's the fifth estate is crumbling. It's being transformed into this, and so not that there's any fucking standards to what any of the journalism online is, and it's just up to you to kind of figure it out for yourself who's legitimate, who's worth listening to. They put a lot of people on our face that you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Why am I why do I need to say what's the guy, Ty Lopez or whatever? There's so many fucking like shyster fucking snake oil people who've managed to blow up on social media. But just keep writing long poems, for Christ's sake. It's the best way to fight fascism. Reading and writing long poems. One thing I want to do an Easy Paradise Theater Festival. There was some fucking book I picked up at the library today, at the free public library, amongst all the delivery drivers and homeless people and students. It was talking about Ellen Stewart, the founder of La Mama. She wanted to start a boutique. Her husband wanted to start a theater, so they started a small boutique theater, La Mama Theater Company. It's all about the playwright at La Mama. But she said they would do one play a week. And it's on fucking East 4th Street. It's right across the street from goddamn KGB Bar. And the Red Room, like, was this fucking black box theater, as we know from our friends who performed there. And it still is. It's this sort of... I heard somebody in one of these articles refer to Saturday Night Live as a cabaret. And I think that's true. I think that is what Saturday Night Live is, kind of in essence, is like the nation's cabaret. It's like a small theater. It is like a plurality. The best people from Groundlings, the best people from Chicago, the best people from stand-up, the kind of troubadours across the nation get pulled into this small, concentrated legacy media cabaret in front of Dick Arbasol and Brendan Tartikoff. And it's like little magazines, little theater, little small club as a performer, as a musician playing small clubs. And so I'd like to do more Poets Theater kind of written sketches or things at the top of the show. I think we need an Easy Paradise Theater Festival where people write plays, maybe like March. Maybe the month of March will be the Easy Paradise Theater Festival, and that'll be my assignment. That's my assignment for people. Write plays. Write and produce plays. The whole month of March, Easy Paradise will be doing, encouraging people to do short plays. Just write a 5-minute play, write a skit. You can have the paper. You don't have to memorize it or anything. Like, it's Poets Theater. It can be kind of spontaneous and I hesitate to use the word amateurish. Imaginative, forgiving, make believe. It's make believe, god damn it. You don't need props. It's like the Globe Theater, they didn't have any sets. And well, I actually started reading this fucking Alice Notley Descent of Owlette today, which I just sort of the thing about Alice Notley, or one of the things, is she has all these books that are almost like genre pieces, except they're amazing kind of like experimental poems, like In the Pines, or uh fuck, the one I was just looking at today, For the Ride. I've got a bunch of them, god damn it. What's the red one? I read one. What's the one? Something Kiss. There's one that's like a private detective story, and there's like a Bob Dylan character. What the fuck? Negativity's Kiss, I think is what it's called. It's like a noir, but it's a poem, and it has the kind of Alice Notley voice. I was thinking about that, well, watching the live stream where I was talking about how Bruce Boone was talking about how Stephen King was his ideal kind of for a writer. I was like, well, this is kind of like what Alice Notley is doing. Like she's sort of participating in these kind of mainstream, like Descent of Owlette is almost like science fiction in certain ways. I haven't gotten that far into it, but they're almost like genre pieces. And I guess, the same way that that Nadia movie is, that those vampire movies that we watch, The Addiction, the Abel Ferrara vampire movie, the way they're like postmodern kind of genre. The Dodie Bellamy, Mina Harker book, it's like a postmodern kind of Dracula story. But to be honest, I think the origins of that genre, I mean, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, I think already was sort of like an avant-garde postmodern horror story. It wasn't really a genre piece. It was about feminism, and I don't know. I've never read it, but my understanding of it is, I mean, Mary Shelley was not some like hack fucking, like Danielle or Anne Rice or something. Not that Anne Rice is a hack. I've never read Anne Rice, but she was Shelley's fucking wife, and she's hanging out, with the extreme avant-garde poets of the age. And so that book is like this avant-garde experimental kind of pioneering. It started a genre, and it's been kind of interpreted and kind of used in a way that hammers certain tropes into place. But that's, I don't know, I've been kind of having difficulty writing plays because I'm just so locked in poetry mode. I think it's hard for me to go back to normal writing. My brain is so fried on psychedelics and THC and language poetry, or I don't know, all of it, cut up, automatic writing, whatever, you name it, all of the gateway drugs to the harder stuff in consciousness manipulation, and just getting under the hood of your mind and tooling around with the thoughts a little bit and trying to soup it up. You're trying to soup your brain up. You got to get on speed. All those guys, all my favorite art was made by people on speed, I realize. Elvis was on fucking speed, for Christ's sake. Speed is, the early Beatles, they were on speed. Bob Dylan, early Bob Dylan, he was on speed. Ted Bergen, speed. It's like they're all on fucking speed. Where the hell do you even, is that meth? Where the hell do you even get speed? Country music, all those guys were on speed. George Jones was probably on speed, right? I'm not totally sure about that, but that's the greatest music ever made, George Jones. So yeah, I want to do the Easy Paradise Theater Festival. I mean, April's National Poetry Month. I think you just got to strike while the iron's hot. You know, for me, it's like when I have an idea, I have to do it immediately, or it's not going to happen. And so, like this, it's like this is why I live stream, because I just have to go direct. You have to go straight, raw to the people. And I think the play should be the same way. I think we get bogged down with ideas of perfecting something, rehearsing it to death, editing it, getting it just right. It's like it's got to be like Saturday Night Live. It's you got to put it on because it's 11:30, not because it's ready. But I think it's like try to write the plays like poems. Maybe that might be the key for me. I'm just trying to find a way in. I can't do anything that feels like work. And writing a play feels like work. Remembering all the characters and shit. So it's like, I write these pages that are kind of like unbound. I mean, I don't even use fucking punctuation. I don't even use periods or commas or anything. Look at this beautiful $5 at the 5 and Under store. Isn't that amazing? What a beautiful, it looks like a big tangerine. So that's what I did today at the public library. Your tax dollars at work, everybody. Has Doge slashed funding for public libraries yet? Those wasteful public libraries. Fire all the librarians. They're just freeloading. They're bureaucrats. That's everybody's favorite word. Oh, we got to cut the bureaucracy. We hate fucking bureaucracy. It's these goddamn bureaucrats. That's where your tax dollars are going. We'll get into that. We'll get into the whole Doge fucking debacle in a sec. Let me continue to talk about plays and poetry and art and beauty. Fuck the fucking capitalists. And all the tech bullshit. Fuck the crypto and the fucking online gaming computers with the coolant or whatever, the cooling fans and shit in your Alienware computer. Go get fucked. Life is my Alienware computer, okay? Central Park is my fucking World of Warcraft. Anywho, the simulation, the singularity. I'll take the fucking Jefferson Market Library and the notebook and the paper and the shelves and the Dewey Decimal System. Give me the Dewey Decimal System any day of the fucking week. And a play is just like a poem that got up and walked around. I mean, look at Lorca. His fucking plays are like House of Bernarda Alba. I mean, Jesus Christ. What is it, everyone? 3 women or how many women? Doesn't he have a play about women or something? His characters are like metaphors that are alive and speak. And I think that's Poets Theater, right? I think the Easy Paradise Theater Festival, we're announcing it. I'm going to be the Joseph Papp, one of my heroes, the New York Shakespeare Festival. It's March. March is the Easy Paradise Theater Festival, everybody. So write your plays. I think you just cast people at the reading or at the open mic. Like let's get Luke Herberman in a play. Let's get let's get Al Burko in the play. Let's get Jack in the play. Write parts for your favorite open mic regulars, and we'll just do it on its feet. We'll do cold reads. What's better than cold reading? In New York on fucking off Broadway. Okay, this is La Mama. New York Theater Workshop is right next door. Who knows? Maybe Michael fucking Shannon or Dexter will come in. You never know. Maybe some big shot director will cast you in fucking touring company of Hamilton or What's the new fucking thing on Broadway this year? I don't even know. Suffs. The Huey Lewis musical, is that still going? The Michael Jackson musical? Maybe I'll read a Neil Simon play. I don't know. Deadlines. We need deadlines, people. And I don't know. I like to shake it up, try different things at the beginning. I do music every once in a while. This week I read poetry because I felt like I wanted to go back to basics, strip it down to brass tacks. We got National Poetry Month coming up in April, so that'll be all poetry for the month of April. Every open mic will have a poetry focus. Not that anybody gives a fuck. People will continue to do whatever the hell they want. That's fine. But if we got a few plays, it'd be kind of nice. It'd be kind of nice just to break it up and shake it up. And I don't know. I think that's a good way to get collaborations going on. That's one of the things that I miss about making films or being involved in that stuff, is like it really is just like a collection of people in kind of an incredible way. Like just you get a group of people together to kind of work on a shared project for, however long it takes to rehearse and perform, film it or whatever. Weeks, months, days, whatever you get. But it's like when you go to New York Art Book Fair, or like Brooklyn Art Book Fair at McCarran Pool, and they get all the artists to be in some play together that, like, somebody wrote that's very like insidery about the art world. And they're not actors or anything, but like it's still kind of an amazing human gathering, and the cumulative total of having all those people. It doesn't matter, the acting doesn't need to be good. It doesn't need to be real. It doesn't need to be, people just need to be themselves and be natural and responsive to each other. And, like that's the beauty of theater, is that, it is kind of like, it's like the poetry of collaborative, dramatized performance, and it kind of has a similar existence to poetry, where it's like people are always talking about theater is dead, poetry's dead. Does anybody read poetry? Where have all the literary men gone? Broadway's dead. Broadway's too corporate. Off Broadway's dead. But the theater kind of exists like this weird kind of like state of mind, or imaginary state, like Bohemia theater. I left the theater. I remember when I left the theater. It's like this pursuit. It's like this way of life. It's like I'm joining the fucking theater. And I don't know. I guess I want to do everything at once. I want to be in a band, and I want to be. I want to say it on the internet. I want to have a radio show on YouTube that 3 people watch, and I want to be a host of a fucking late night show, and I want to be a fucking poet like Rimbaud or Vachel Lindsay or a fucking Jack Michelin. I want to be a street poet. I want to be a anarchist socialist pamphleteer. I want to be a Broadway song and dance. I was thinking about it today. If I had to choose one word, I used to tell people I was a writer and performer. That was like how I described what I did. I'm a writer and performer. Now, if I had to pick one word, I just merely say I'm an entertainer. That's what I think now. I'm an entertainer, and there's a lot of different ways you do that. You do that with your repartee as a raconteur, like Noel Coward, or fucking as a aphorist, or a wit, a quipster. With the ad libs, like Oscar Wilde or some shit. You're a toastmaster. You're a shaman. You're an actor. You're a mime. You're a hair metal band. You're Paul Blackburn. You're Diane DePrima sitting on a fucking piano in the gaslight. I want to do more dancing. I think I want to do an opening where I do just dancing because honestly, I think it's one of the things that I do feel like is like very deeply in my like soul. And I also it's like probably the most like vulnerable or like feminine I feel. It feels like I don't know, but audiences like it in a weird way. You know, like dance is very popular as a form, even though it's not, you know, necessarily intellectual per se. It's not a cerebral inherently, you know, it's an art, it's not a verbally articulating kind of like it's more kind of I don't know. It feels like there's more potential for embarrassment. There's like a vulnerability to it. But when I was a little kid, I remember going to my Uncle Mike's wedding. It was the first time I remember I was jealous because they rented my brother a tuxedo. He was the ring bearer. I didn't get a tuxedo. I had to wear like this fucking blazer that we bought like off the rack or something. You know, I was like 5 years old or 4 years old or something. I was pissed about it that I didn't get a tuxedo. But anyway, so it was really the first thing I ever did that I think that was like super formal. You know, there was like a DJ and fucking it was one of the first things I ever went to, maybe the first thing ever where there was a video camera. You know, this was probably I think it was 1989. My Uncle Mike, I'm pretty sure he got married in 1989. And it was the first time I ever remember being around a fucking video camera of any kind. You know, and for a 4-year-old being out at night and being at the wedding reception, I just had so much goddamn fun at the wedding reception. You know, with my cousins, Patrick and my brother, the three amigos. I think Kathleen and maybe Tony were born, my other cousins. They were very young though. And the hallmark of the event was I was just drawn to the dance floor like a fucking moth, you know, like I was just for some reason I just and maybe it was the camera. I don't know if I was even aware of the camera. Like I was aware that it was there probably, but like I don't know, but it sort of became an infamous video because I just wouldn't quit. For some reason, they set up the camera and just like rolled on the dance floor for like in like a master shot for like a long time. And so there's like this shot of the dance floor, and like I'm just going to fucking town on the dance floor. I'm just loving it, you know. I just fucking am having a blast, you know. And the thing is, I had these pants that were too big for me, and there was no belt. And so I'm like dancing, and then my pants fall down, and I pull them up, and then I start dancing again, and my pants fall down, and then I pull them up, and you know, ad infinitum. And it's all on VHS. You know, they had a tape of it. So throughout my childhood, every once in a while, we'd pull this tape out, and they'd sort of make fun of me for dancing. And my pants falling down, and just how enthusiastic I was about dancing. I just fucking was like Ric Flair or something out there. Just like, and that's who I am, okay? I guess that's what we call theater kid energy. That's the way that what happened to my fucking audience? I mean, I guess it's Thursday. It's 10 degrees outside. What are people doing? There's no way people are out doing something right now. What are people watching that's better than this? Nothing. The answer is nothing because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. I guarantee you Ashley is listening in. Hi, Ashley. Isn't this an adorable story? This is me in the 80s. I think, was Ronald Reagan still the president? I was a big Michael Dukakis fan when I was a kid. I thought I kind of looked like Michael Dukakis. We were pulling from Michael Dukakis. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, I want to do an opening that's like all dance to just sort of get back in touch with my deepest artistic concerns. That was probably the earliest, wedding reception entertainment type thing that I did. MC, which is my calling in life, is to be a cheese dick, very low level, sort of punk rock, anti wedding DJ, a negative reversal of the Adam Scott Party Down esque. But I was a wedding DJ and master of ceremonies. It was like American Sniper. It was like every fucking wedding I DJ'd was like American Sniper's wedding. That's what it feels like now that I've seen American Sniper. That was how I served my country. During the wars, I was a wedding DJ. I officiated many military nuptials. But in any case, it's fun. Parties are fun. The nightlife is fun. And I don't know. I just want to get the most. I want to. We have this wonderful opportunity to perform interesting work. I don't want it I want it to be exciting. I want to do new things with it. I want to, if we have an audience, we have a venue in New York City on the Lower East Side, every week. We're very lucky. We're grateful to the owners for doing it. And, we want to make it the best show we can make it. We want to bring our ideas to it. We want to comment on the culture. And so that's what I was trying to do with my poem this week about Saturday Night Live in the military industrial complex. GE, General Electric. Maybe we should get into politics a little bit. Okay, so now they're toying with the idea of sending everybody a $5,000 check. Explain to me how that's going to help inflation, first of all. The headline said it would be like pouring gasoline on, or it would reignite inflation. These $5,000 checks will reignite inflation. Hey, I would love to have a $5,000 check. Let me just say, on the surface, my ignorant ass is all for like canceling the congestion pricing and getting a $5,000 check, even though I know it's not in my own best interest in either. Well, if they sent me a $5,000 check and nobody else, or like, I don't know, just send poor people a $5,000 check. How about that? How about sending like the bottom 80% of people like a $5,000 check? Like, I'm pretty sure, Bill Gates doesn't need a $5,000 check, or fucking, Steven Spielberg doesn't need a $5,000 check, or the landlord might not need a $5,000 check. But it definitely wouldn't hurt in the short term. It just seems like every policy they have, they want to destroy the government and collapse the country because they're working for our Russian adversaries. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Like, how can we make inflation worse? Let's do tariffs. Let's fire all the migrant workers. Let's give everybody $5,000 for no reason. Because, well, I guess they're trying to like. Okay, I mean, this has been the right wing sort of like way of looking at things for a long time, where it's like they look at it like it's money. The government is wasting your money. They're taking it from, it's of course this is an argument that's going to play with everybody who has a job, because nobody likes seeing their paycheck like just have fourth of it removed to like go to the government for what? For them to have wars, for them to waste it. Washington, kind of like pork belly spending or whatever the fuck it is, pork barrel, pork belly. Just more government bureaucratic bullshit. A hammer that costs $800, a toilet seat that costs $5,000. Oh God. Maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, how I talk about how nobody watches my live stream, and that has discouraged people from watching. Maybe all my fucking viewers just have jobs and they gotta go to work tomorrow. That's probably part of it. Well, that's why I do it late at night. This is for the protesters against capitalism, the unemployed, the largest coalition, the unemployed. Okay, so like these wars, since when are Republicans the ones who give a fuck about whether the United States is at war or not? I mean, Iraq, Afghanistan, those people were just like so ready to fight those wars. And now they act like they want the United States out of Ukraine and Gaza because they're like peaceful or something. But the way that they frame the argument, or at least the way that Trump frames it, is like money. The way he frames all of these sort of like alliance things, like NATO, they're not paying their bills. They're not doing their fair share. We send Ukraine, what, $250 billion we sent to Zelensky. And, for what? We're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to, the American taxpayers are, like they give a fuck about debt. This is the thing that drives you nuts. Is like the Republicans, whenever the Democrats get in power, they scream about deficit, debt, whatever. Or like this is like sort of the pretenses that the Doge thing is like they got to slash the fucking waste. They got to get rid of U.S. aid or get rid of the fucking penny. It's all these sort of like purely symbolic, kind of strategic things that they want to get rid of. Department of Education. They waste so much money. So because the United States has so much debt, the United States is $36 trillion in debt. Like they give a fuck, like they've ever given a fuck. The Republicans are always the ones who explode the deficit, who explode the debt. They always add way more to the debt. If you're paying attention, you know that. And so it's a little bit hard to swallow that. That's the fucking argument they make. And that's sort of the pretense of this whole fucking Doge thing, is that they want to cut the government waste because there's too much debt, like it's going to affect us or something. Like, oh God, this background's just too good. I got to prop myself up somehow. When in reality, right, we know it's about giving fucking tax cuts to themselves and transferring money to themselves, giving themselves, controlling where the spending goes. Apparently they want to cut all of Medicaid. They haven't said anything about how they're going to cut the military budget yet. I don't think they're going to cut the military budget, frankly. I don't think they will. Last time Trump added to the military budget, I think he added more than they wanted. I don't expect that they will cut any of the military budget. But they probably want to cut all of the fucking entitlements or whatever, the Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. it's wasteful government. You know, the government's just taking your money with the income tax and throwing it away on welfare queens. On foreign wars, on foreign aid. These countries need to pay their fair share. The United States foots the bill for these NATO countries. I think that was part of the agreement after World War II. I think the United States wanted it that way. That's how the United States makes a lot of its money, right? By selling guns and by being the kind of arms dealer of the world. You know, after World War II, I think the European countries wanted to kind of like disarm and kind of stand down. The United States volunteered to kind of be the war machine, kind of like enforcer of the white Western order, kind of in a way. You know, this is kind of what I've been thinking about, because a lot of what they're talking about is how it's the end of the Atlantic Alliance, right? Putin kind of wants to pry the United States away from Europe because the United States is their protector. You know, as long as the United States backs NATO, which traditionally they have done without reservation, as far as I know. And so by weakening that alliance and separating us from them, it makes China, Russia, whatever, stronger. And it's, you know, if you look at that, though, it was formed as a result of World War II. Those are the Allied powers, more or less, right? And, well, I guess not Russia. It's all, in a certain way, you can look at it like it's all the white people. It's all the Western, it's the Western world in a certain way. Europe and the United States, that's what it is. That's the Western world. And so by separating that, I don't know, or you know, you can kind of see that probably being sent into decline, I guess. That's what this moment kind of feels like, although people said a lot of that stuff the first time Trump got elected, that it was the end of American power and this and that. And I guess in a certain way, yes, but you know, when Biden was president, it didn't feel that way. It still felt like America was on top. And uh so I don't know. I think the first Trump presidency got people feeling like, oh, it wasn't that bad. How much harm can he do? To the point where, like, now we're sort of like, or we just welcomed him back, like, okay, it'll be no big deal. And now he's going in with the same policies, but there's way less resistance. I mean, they're ready. They're overwhelming the system. They're doing everything at once. And it does seem like they sort of have a strategy about how to crash the whole thing. But you know, sending everybody $5,000, they definitely have to know that that's what causes inflation, at least according to their fucking logic of, like, if you print more cash and give everyone more cash, right? It's just like there's going to be more money chasing after fewer goods. Maybe they want to stimulate the economy. Is that what it's about? Apparently, I heard something about 37% of people are not buying anything, or they've like opted out. Like, people are so poor, they're so broke that 37% of people are just like not buying anything, which, to be honest, I mean, that's the way I've been most of my adult life. There's been like almost no period in my adult life that I've ever even like had enough money to even buy like clothes, pretty much. Let alone anything substantial. But I've led an unorthodox life, I guess, to some degree. But, you know, it's been less and less easy to do that, and there's less and less, I don't know, luck to do something like that. because the circumstances have just gotten harsher and harsher financially over the past 10 years for freeloading hippies like me, I guess. Uh, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. Oh boy. I don't know. It's like I need poetry in my life to. Oh yeah, so I was reading this book, Descent of Alette, right? I started to talk about that because, well, Philip was saying they did this reading of it at the church, which I didn't know they were going to read the whole damn book. That's pretty interesting. So I was like, okay, let me just. The thing about this book is it's got these quotation marks, right? So like every few words are like in quote. So the whole book is like in these intervals of quotation marks. So it's almost like an Emily Dickinson. It's a very interesting rhythm, and I've never seen that form or technique used anywhere else ever. So I'm pretty sure Alice Nutley probably invented it. It feels almost like an Emily Dickinson. It just gives this kind of eerie, kind of like stop and start kind of rhythm. There's all these little pauses, like the little Emily Dickinson dashes almost. And so it feels very ghostly. Everything being in quotation marks, it feels like it's being spoken by dead people or something from beyond the grave. And God, I'm addicted to those likes. I've only got one like. How pathetic. It's really hard earning these likes. To even get 5 likes, it's just sad. I have no value. I bring no value. And so it's a really interesting form, but it was always kind of off-putting. I'd pick it up and I'd be like, God, I can't read this. It's like the quotation marks are just too goddamn much. I mean, I get it, but it's like it's kind of hard to to read it in a certain way because you're just not used to that. It's kind of a counterintuitive, you know. I guess it's maybe grammatically not incorrect in a way, but it's also poetry, so who cares? But I started reading it today. I'm like, oh my god! Of course, it just speaks directly to this moment. It's they're talking about the leader. The leader killed, like outlived all the people. It's sort of very Trumpy. His rings on his finger, he's growing on his fingers, and he laid and stayed, and he killed all these people to stay alive. Everybody died. All the people live in the subway, and they have to like pay to go above ground. I don't know. That's my sense of it. I haven't read that much of it yet, but it kind of hooked me in a weird way, like a Stephen King thing, or like a genre kind of novel almost, but well done. Not like some kind of hacky airport read. So I was actually reading it like it's almost like a prose book where it's like kind of you read it from start to finish. Like I was saying, a lot of those Alice Notley books are like that. They're almost like these paperback genre narratives, but they're also these kind of experimental poems at the same time. The form of this is just so unusual. And it, like I said, I don't know. It's not like Anne Carson or something where like your average person's going to pick it up necessarily and be like, "Wow." It's kind of off-putting, and that's part of probably what makes it kind of the highest level of poetry, I guess. Like the highest level of poetry doesn't make compromises or capitulations to like mass consumption or acceptance. It's just like, in fact, there's a kind of like difficulty that's like it's insisted upon. I think for me, it's like I just grew up around, kind of dumb humor, or uh, I always felt like I had to be less smart than I was because people really wouldn't understand where I was coming from. If I like talk about how I love poetry or fucking My Dinner with Andre night, it's just like people just look at you like, what the fuck? Go Bucks. uh so it's like, okay, you gotta get into wrestling, you gotta get into SNL, stand-up comedy shit, Jim Carrey movies, hard rock, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen. You got to meet the people where they are, TikTok music, Sabrina Carpenter, whatever the hell it is, whatever. As a wedding DJ, it's my duty to know whatever. As a Paul Rudd style, I think Paul Rudd was a wedding DJ in Kansas City before he became one of the greatest stars of all time. I'm definitely convinced Paul Rudd is a CIA plant. Like, there's no way that guy should have been that famous for that long. He's okay. He's okay, but he's not, I don't know. He's just not like breathtaking. Like a movie star really is supposed to like take your fucking breath away. Has Paul Rudd ever done that? I mean, I guess he was technically sexiest man alive, but who votes for these things? I mean, who decides that? Do we know? Who's the committee? Who's on the committee for sexiest man alive? I want to know the judges. What authority do they have? What right do they have? What gives them the right? What makes them the final word on who the sexiest man alive is? And why was I not in the top, 3,000 or something? I mean, if Paul Rudd is number one and John Krasinski is number one, I don't know. What? No wonder women are so frustrated. Jesus Christ. No wonder they're all lesbians. I get it. Slim Pickens. Sexiest man alive next year. Slim Pickens. Okay, a fella could have himself a pretty good weekend in Vegas. So long poems, everybody. That's what we're encouraging. Like The Descent of Aled. Write your play as a poem. This is advice to myself, I guess. But there's certain friends that I know that I'm like, I don't know if I've seen a long poem from them. Like Ashley, I think it's time for a long poem. And others, it's like it's time for some long poems. I want to see long iambic pentameter, goddamn it. I want to see some blank verse. I want to see people going long. I want to see live streams of you reading your long poems. That's what we have. That's what they're written for. So for me with my poetry, I was responding to fucking shitty podcasts and stuff. So I wanted to make my poems more podcast like. So my whole book Bloomsday, it's like those poems are long soliloquy podcasts, blues saxophone solos. Wood shedding. Where do we go to woodshed? It never stops. I feel like I'm always working. Do you feel that way? You probably have a notebook on your person at all times. You're writing it in the notes app. Comedians are trying to think of bits. I mean, I wrote a long poem at the library today. It's called Slang Foo. And it was the epic of the afternoon. It's all important. It's all important to make it happen and create it. And I'm blown away by the shows that people do. The comedians are constantly doing shows and booking each other and roasting and throwing it out there and dressing up, and the poets same. There should be more cross-pollination. There should be more variety shows with music and poetry and festivals of the dance, noise music, poetry, comedy, plays. So yeah, for those now just joining us, March, it's Easy Paradise Theater Festival in March. Get ready, everybody. I want everybody writing and performing 5-minute plays at Easy Paradise open mic on KGB Red Room Mondays, okay? It's the Easy Paradise Theater Festival. Somebody's got to do it. There's no Fringe Festival anymore. There's no OBs that I'm aware of. So we've got to be off Broadway, everybody. We've got prime off Broadway location. Fosse, Fosse, Fosse. It's showtime, folks. It's showtime, folks. So yeah, we got to save money by ending these wars. These wars are costing too much money. It's bad for the checkbook. This is Alinsky. He's a modestly successful comedian. To Trump, a modestly successful comedian. I mean, he was on TV and he was elected president. He's more or less like he's not a billionaire, I guess. I mean, one of the things they keep, this thing where it's like they've got people on Social Security that are like 300 years old. It's like, okay, great. That's got to be like such a pittance of money. First of all, who the fuck knows if it's true? It's probably all made up. Oh, there's some woman that was collecting Social Security. She's 250 years old. She's older than America. Are you a citizen if you were born before the Declaration of Independence? I guess the founding fathers were. The founding fucking felons. So yeah, get your Neil Simon thinking caps on, everybody. Get ready to get your Broadway bound Pulitzer Prize winning Tony Kushner. I was looking at that Intelligent Homosexuals Guide to Capitalism, or whatever the fucking title is. With the key to the scriptures. Now that's a fucking play. Jesus Christ. As a poet, I was fucking blown away by that. And I mean, Shakespeare was a poet, for Christ's sake. So it's only natural that we make these poems come to life. Bring the spring on with Michael Mann style heat drama. It gets to be so that you don't mind it. That's the worst thing I can confess. So be it. There's an absolute morality? I don't think so. You think that? Fine. Be that way. The great fucks you may have had. Something her arm did. The great fucks you may have had. I think Kieran Culkin is Ricky Roma on Broadway. That's what I'm hearing. Odenkirk is doing Levine, which I don't know. I'd rather see Odenkirk do Ricky Roma. And this is my Broadway gossip, my mammoth. Everybody who's a dedicated watcher of my live streams knows what a mammoth head I am. You know, this is a regular. So it's upcoming. We looked at the tickets for the Glengarry Glen Ross with Odenkirk. I think the cheapest tickets were like $160. And it's for like one seat way the fuck up in the balconies, you know, in the middle of the cheap seats, the nosebleeds. I mean, I would do it, but Jesus Christ, not for $160. You know, I'd like to see it. Maybe we'll get a pro shot. This is one. Why doesn't Broadway pro shot everything and put it on the fucking internet? Don't they understand we're living in a new paradigm? There are so many goddamn Broadway nerds all over this fucking country. And I guess maybe they'd undercut their ticket sales or something, but like, just free the pro shots, man. Theater kids all over this country. It's like you can't see archival Broadway stuff. You can't see fucking some Sondheim production from the 70s or whatever the hell it is. It's just not going to happen. It's like you got to go to the Lincoln Center branch of the New York Public Library and like get the tape from like the fucking like, you know, archive, and you got to watch it there. You know, like while the library's open and shit. It's like, just put the fucking pro shot, put it all on YouTube, for Christ's sakes. Give it to the people. Give the work to the people. Broadway. It's this business model that was invented like before film. It's like it's amazing it still even works. The idea, it's kind of an indication of like oversupply. It's like, let's put 20, you know, 500,000 seat theaters within a 10 block radius in Midtown. Let's put all the fucking theater in one place. Like, it's an amazing, beautiful thing, but it's kind of outlived its. At the time, it's like that was the best way to get popular entertainment, was to like go to Lowe's 42nd Street and see fucking Al Jolson or something. That was like mass media. That was like the most people you could get seeing one thing at once, before radio was like 1,000 people in a theater or something. At least for that kind of shit, a story. And it's amazing that they're still there, and they're still fucking doing, Wicked but George Clooney and fucking Good Night and Good Luck is like and subscribe, everybody. I've gotten 1 new subscriber in 30 days. And the other day I was at -1. It's like, what the fuck happened? How am I not getting any new subscribers? Is it because I have this really ugly looking camera quality, and I'm just a white guy rambling about Broadway and Saturday Night Live and Trump and poetry and Ellen Stewart and all these obscure fucking whatever the kind of archaic white guy literary interests? Yes, that's right. For my niche fans, they love it, and somebody's got to report on this stuff in sort of a haphazard, disheveled, impromptu. This is like my class. If I was a college professor, this is what it would be. I'd go in and I just ramble about the same shit as I'm doing right now. And so this is like, I'm starting a Substack, everybody. I've decided after I've done a great deal of soul searching, and I've decided, after thinking about it deeply and for a long time, and looking within, and really reaching and trying and pulling up, I've decided it's time. It's time to start a Substack, because I think I do need like people to read my writing. And I think I need to write something that's like a little bit more prose-like or something. I think I can sort of adapt my poetic, off-the-cuff, kind of one-and-done secretion style for a kind of like improvisational newspaper article review. I think I could do I definitely could do. I mean, I'd probably be better at that in a certain way. And so, I don't know. I think I need some kind of Substack as a way to just kind of get like a written component, a written kind of prose component. In a certain way, like, this is my Substack, obviously. The true fans know that this is my Substack. It goes out twice a week. My fireside chats, my radio addresses to the nation, to Easy Paradise Open Mic Nation, to Open Mic Nation. Dude, I gotta say, I love the open mic movement. Every single open mic motherfucker is a real one. And you guys make the fucking world go round. You guys are the fucking Sandinistas. Even the Trumper comedians. You guys are the Sandinistas, because they're active. They've infiltrated the clubs, and they're disseminating their points of view, and they're doing it hard. They're scurrying around the city like ants in the walls, and with their little pincers, they're mincing up the meat and chopping it up, and with the mandible claw, they're masticating and spitting it back out again. with the kind of it's all, the special sauce and the saliva, and it's all glued together. I don't need your likes. I don't give a fuck. How about that? How about some reverse psychology? How about don't subscribe. See if I care. I'm above it. I'm above it all. They'll discover me after I'm dead. Apparently, Twitch is going to throw away a lot of their archive because, somebody unliked it. I guess the reverse psychology didn't work. You're not supposed to take reverse psychology literally. I mean, was it unclear that was reverse psychology? They thought I was being serious. People can never tell. I have a speech impediment that makes people think that I'm sarcastic with everything I say. And then when I try to be sincere, they think I'm being sarcastic. And then when I try to be sarcastic, they think I'm being sincere. When I'm trying to be serious, people think I'm funny. I'm hilarious. And when I'm trying to be funny, nobody laughs. It's really a fucking mixed up, inside out world. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, we're collecting the information. We're spitting it back out again. 4 viewers and no likes. I'm humiliated. What would my parents think? I shouldn't draw attention to it. I got unliked. Somebody liked it. They rescinded. They're like, oh, there it goes back. I guess it's the only way people have to communicate now. Now that I've taken away the chat, the only way you can communicate with me is by doing Morse code through the like, unlike. SOS with the like if you're... That's the only way you have communicating with me now. It's like you're like somebody who's like, they can only move their right eyelid. Blank if... like if you're still alive out there. Is anybody alive out there? Okay, so anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Does it even matter? We're all over the fucking place here with our hot takes. Did people already say all this shit on Twitter? How many people are still on Twitter? Show of hands. Clap if you're still on Twitter. Shame on you. Shame the fuck on you. Did Elon Musk name his kid Twitter? So maybe I'll read my long poem, everybody. How about that? I'm encouraging everybody to write long poems. What would the equivalent in comedy be? Like some kind of long, shaggy dog, Norm Macdonald style joke or something? I just don't think there's anything more relaxing and soothing and enriching than a long poem. It's like a smoothie. It's like a green smoothie of just rich poetic. It's like there's kale in there, there's spinach, there's spirulina, there's green algae, there's protein powder, there's bananas. It's all fucking good in that motherfucker. There's almond butter, there's honey, and you fucking juice that shit up, and you just have this sip. You sip on it, you get the whole fucking blender, and you just sip on that, and it lasts. We need long, educational, rich, world building. I mean, people love fucking world building, right? There's nothing more fucking titillating and erotic. There's nothing more sexually satisfying than world building. Am I wrong? It's the destiny of the human race is world building in the multiverse. The Scenes from a Life multiverse and the Saturday Night Live, the Lorne Michaels multiverse. Apparently, Lorne Michaels is too famous now. Everybody knows even normies know who Lorne Michaels is now. Even just like the most basic bitches of finance, all the normie Taylor Swift people who took over New York like locusts. Even they know who Lorne Michaels is now, and it's ruined his life, apparently. Fame destroys those it possesses. And yet we all want to be famous. Why? What is the fucking advantage of being famous? I don't know. Maybe I should just try to find a real job. My friend was telling me he's a professor of philosophy. He's like, it's awesome. I only work 3 days a week. It's like, how do I get that job? Why don't I? How do I do it? How do I do it? Just let me opt in. I'll do it. I'll sign. I'm selling out. I'm ready. I'm ready to become like a fucking English 100. Let me just teach people, propaganda MLA style, white supremacist grammar and syntax, corporate. Not that it fucking matters. There's more soul in people's text messages. I say embrace the typos. Embrace the the abstract expressionistic uses of the keyboard. In the glitch art, people love glitch art, right? Okay, I'm gonna have a new vlog, everybody. I'm about to drop a new vlog. I know I just hit you with a new vlog, and everybody's watching it, loving it. Everybody's watching drill pastels, and just they're all knocked out by the beauty of the cinematography and the micro cinema. Now that everybody's vlogging, we need to figure out some kind of micro cinema. How do we make it even more intimate and personal? Now that everybody's making intimate personal films. Long poems, everybody. Long radio addresses. There's just not enough good places, particularly for like young people poetry. Like if I wanted to listen to a poetry reading with, a Gen Z, like cutting edge, avant-garde poet, where would I go online to do that? Is that available on YouTube? Like, is there an archive for that? Like, I guess those people just don't care. That's lame to even think about that, but for me, I want to make the poetry available to the people in the most egalitarian, populist way. That's why I use YouTube. YouTube is for the people. And so I'm terrified now because I guess Amazon owns Twitch. And so they're just going to dump a bunch of the archive. They don't see any value. Well, apparently they can't make any money. There's no money when it comes to streaming. There's no money in old streams. So Amazon's just going to get rid of all. It's too expensive to store. And so that's my fear with YouTube, right? Because I do put a lot of work into these. A lot of time and energy. I mean, it's 4 hours a week, people. I mean, that's like a part-time job for me. Well, it's not only 4 hours a week, but it's all the time watching TikTok, reading news, reading poetry books. Like I said, talking to people, getting information, watching movies, watching Saturday Night Live documentaries, listening to other people, like I do check in with all of the major YouTube streamers, all of the boomer, fucking Tim Dillon, Bill Maher, Club Random. We watch real time religiously. I don't know why. I'm not sure why. It's just it's a little more arch and punchy than like The Daily Show and John Oliver. They're a little too holier than thou. Bill Maher, he kind of admits that he's kind of sleazy, and you can kind of tell he's not admitting that that he doesn't act like he's perfect. He kind of admits that nobody's perfect, and I don't know. That's part of probably what I like about Bill Maher. Jon Stewart can kind of seem like, okay, this guy's like a little too fucking he's a little too good guy or something. And I love Jon Stewart, don't get me wrong. He's great. I think he is like the best at that, at what he does. He's a better, but I don't know. Bill Maher, there's kind of like a sour, savory thing. I don't know. The sarcasm is a little more blatant. Among others, like lately I've been watching the Bulwark. I mean, fucking Chris Hedges is all over fucking YouTube talking about Trump shit. Democracy Now, of course. I've been watching this Jeffrey Sachs guy and a bunch of stuff. What else? There's that new thing with this guy Citarella, Joseph Citarella, or whatever the fuck his show is called. So that's my media diet. I mean, we're all fucking like going berserk with our media diets these days. It's like that's what it's all about. Is now I'm on Reddit. I'm a Reddit bro now, everybody. Well, because I'm off Twitter, so I need some kind of like up to the minute commentary stream of like normal people. Reddit's a little more. It's not like a bunch of like alt-lit people trying to show off and people trying to outcool each other and nitpick everybody's politics. It's like it's just folks. It's like a bunch of people in a fucking sports bar in the Midwest or something. But so you get there's a kind of like, I don't know, common person opinion, it's like, or like hive mind, with Reddit. It's like I wanted to find out about Bruce McCulloch being a writer on Saturday Night Live. So there's a fucking Reddit thread, Our Kids in the Hall. It's got all of the skits that Bruce McCulloch wrote. He was a writer in 1985 through 1986, and it's got all of the skits that he wrote that got on the air. Somehow they know that. And it was during the weird year. So, that's something that like if I consulted a bunch of like books at the library, maybe I could have found that out, but I got it on Reddit in 2 seconds. And so I don't know what that means. I don't know where that puts me politically, but trust that somewhere I'm anonymously. We need an easy paradise. You're nobody till you have your own subreddit. We definitely need an easy paradise subreddit with all things easy paradise related, poetry, Rotcore Entertainment, a subsidiary of Rotcore International Industries, Rotcore Industries. My media empire, okay? I'm running a media empire, okay, everybody? It's not easy in a totally manageable one-person way. See, it's just fun to do it this way. I mean, would it be great if I was like super powerful and rich and like controlling those entities? Like, yeah, but this is just as fun and kind of its own way. It's a little more manageable. I was looking at this book today. It's Jack Kerouac's self-portrait, and it's all these writings kind of from throughout his life, I think from like journals. And so it kind of goes, from when he was young to till the end. And there was a picture that he drew in 1959. It was a self-portrait, and it's him looking like, like Kerouac was a pretty good-looking guy when he was young, and he's kind of famously like, whoa, what happened? Like, look at him when he was older. Like, Jesus Christ, what did that guy do to himself? And so this picture, he's looking pretty rough, and under it he wrote, "What fame done to me." And Jack Kerouac, like, fame, I think it is kind of the thing that like drove him to kind of commit suicide by alcoholism. Not that he wasn't an alcoholic before, but apparently it was difficult. People would try to fight him and shit. They'd beat him up. Everybody wanted to drink with him. And so that's what he attributed his kind of deterioration to. Okay, maybe I'll read my long poems. Slang foo. Let me get started on this. We'll see how we do with this. Okay. Slang foo. So yeah, so I'm starting a Substack. 2025 slang foo. I'm starting a Substack. That's not a joke. Fiddling with the stars. How can I waste as much space as possible? Name as many possibilities as you can. Wait till it comes to you. Before the great descent of my face began, we're out of both smaller sizes, swill of the Great Lakes, jiving to the hotel. I was looking at Ron Padgett's new book, Dot. Or I don't know if it's his new book. He's doing a reading at St. Mark's coming up, which I'm looking forward to. I've never seen Ron Padgett read, so that'll be a big deal. But his book is good. It's cantankerous. It's woke, sort of. It's sort of like, it's his attempt to be sort of progressive, in that way. All the attention for Blue Nothing, an eye patch was the right accessory. Jay couldn't even sit next to me, but I wasn't looking. Dots elongated, an explanation appreciated at the outset. This thing in the middle was on the side. It looks like a child's drawing of the thing. More classic moments and memories generated from that studio. My studio everywhere. It fits in my pocket, direct to you. Need to stop by and pick up another. This the time of year. The sleety lag before spring, dyeing its hair blonde in the sun, February into March. Is that you sitting at the Great Hall's table, scribbling furiously as a law student at your notes? There's so many people who look like you as the library recreates itself in paintings, Legos, and drawings. A cameraman scowling in the corner of the parish hall, suffering the curse of the peach tree on 2nd Avenue. His fame will carry our anonymity through history. Shrink wrap units of of his book in the office. I really can't tell. A potash of Had You Heard From Me Lately, away from home in the youth of the city, I stay young. Everything's new, always coming in, waves of human capital, crashing against the buildings in yearly generations, rescinding, dying back, some hanging on in staying power, Nepo location of its own food. Are those the same glasses? Everybody's moving back. What's the point to being anywhere else? The frosted saints, dead outside warm studios where no one could live. It's like the surface of a foreign planet 3 months a year. New York winters we work inside, geared toward cheap office space. In Manhattan where nobody wants it. The grease on the lamb upcharging me for street meat. Everything looked different 2 years ago. What fame done to me. One forward, 4 steps back. Why I threw the party, knew I'd end up in the desert for $100. Staring at you like I know you. Making excuses. What do you want to write about? It would come from the circumstances of friendship. Blame anything which could happen on her impeding, but I've never eaten better. Toxifying my body, but it tastes good as the crater in my jaw spreads to my leg, prematurely aging my socket. A love line or lifeline like a crease in my hand on my cheek. I don't want to say hi. I want to be alone, frictionless in life till I complete 100%. Brownies and cookies a la mode, foie gras, liver, squab, puff pastry, ice cream cake. I've been dining like a decadent French king. Okay, maybe I'll just talk. There's some things about poetry that it's like it is like the innermost part of you. So to try to externalize that live without rehearsal, it's brave. I don't know. I think that's amazing that we get to live these lives. what the hell? Oh, there was this thing. It was like T.S. Eliot talking about Nightwood, and he was saying he was surprised it was as popular as it was because it was so well written that like you needed someone trained in poetic sensibility to understand it. And like I kind of get that. I think that actually kind of makes sense in a way. I know that's like probably the snobbiest thing you can possibly say, but I do think like if you're just like living in the world of poets, if you're listening to poetry, if you're tuned into that, like the poets are the ones who are like I think kind of the most finely tuned. And it is entertainment kind of in a way. I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, people kind of need it to be dialed up to be comedy or to be crude or base or puerile or punched up or something, I don't know, simpler. But I don't know. It's kind of all I mean, it's kind of all in there in poetry in a more subtle, comprehensive way. When you're reading something like Alice Notley or uh even a lot of these contemporary poets, it's like you are getting the fucking news that stays news. You're getting the best version of the news you could get. You're getting the thing that's closest to the truth. That's why I don't know, feel like I have to be in that world or drawn to that. But to me, music and stand-up comedy can and comedy in general and drama and playwriting and filmmaking and whatever it is can be extensions of that. I think everyone in the arts or entertainment, it would serve them to, as T.S. Eliot is kind of saying, train yourself in a poetic sensibility. Read poetry, write poetry. If you're a comedian, if you're a musician, I think a lot of the best songs and a lot of the most popular songs ever written started as poems. And they're very close to poems, the way that they're made and the people that have made them. The biggest rock stars, people like whatever, McCartney or Bob Dylan or Pete Townsend or whoever, it's like those people definitely have trained themselves in a poetic sensibility, and like they definitely have a feel for and they make things and they live like poets, the way they travel, the way they make creative decisions. um I think artists just need to be more playful within their own work when they're drawing connections within the work to why they're making the choices they're making. It's just like, gee, be as playful as possible. Use your own imagination in why you're including things. Include things. Uh, I don't know, in a way that inspires you, like like there's like a quote from Method Man or Redman where he's like, there's reasons why he made every creative decision, but you don't need to know what the reasons are. The reasons make sense to him. He knows what the reasons are. I think that's what an artist does. It's just like you're drawing these connections between things in the work and in life, and you're putting those into the piece. And that's what a poetic logic is. You're drawing a connection between two things that are alike that, uh, other people haven't noticed that they're alike or something. That's what's inspired about it, is there is a poetic thing they have in common. Twinship. Between whatever, the sound you're making, the movement of it, the rhythm of it, the point of view of it, whatever that may be, and I don't know, something in nature that everybody kind of has experienced. A color, a mood, a jolt, something that happens to them, happens to everybody. So yeah, what, my long poem, I got 2 pages in. Well, I don't know. This is another thing, is like, I need to be able to write without censorship. It's like, it's very frustrating to me to think that, I mean, not that, I mean, there's things that you're going to write in your diary that are going to, you probably wouldn't want to share with somebody, uh, regardless, just because you're probably writing things that, I don't know, are very personal and like they're just for you or something. But I don't know. I don't want to have to censor my fucking writing anymore, or worry about what I'm reading and if it's going to piss anybody off, or I can't say certain things. Okay, well, what else is new? So the Doge thing, we're fucked. They're just, it's, I mean, I think it's all like performative. A lot of it, they want to seem like they're going in and like slashing. All right, what am I going to do for the next 18 minutes? I got 2 hours. I love doing this, everybody. Okay, I'm enthusiastic. I'm energetic. I'm inspired. I'm engaged. Okay, just because I'm self-deprecating doesn't mean that I'm not super fucking jazzed, and I do love doing this. I wish my ratings were higher. But I don't know. People don't want to hear my half-baked opinions about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or how everybody should write long poems. If nothing else, okay, if you take nothing else away from this, write long poems. Or just like try it, just like try it as some new thing you can do. Just go for it. Write a 10-page, write a 20-page, write a 40-page poem. I mean, I've got a number of long poems. I've got long poems within long poems. My city life, all of my chapbooks, they're really one long poem. It's a serial poem in installments, daily installments, that I keep around the clock in my diary as I go about my life. But it's really one long, it's like Leaves of Grass. It's one ongoing. Or Doonesbury. It's like Doonesbury. I'm inspired by Doonesbury, the continuity of Doonesbury, the longevity of Doonesbury, and how it's maintained. It's, I don't know, whatever. Is Doonesbury still around? Is that guy still alive? Part of me wants to believe that Doonesbury is still around. Even though I've never really actually read Doonesbury. I mean, I think comics are welcome to Doonesbury, the Washington Post. Okay, so Bezos owns Doonesbury. Is that how it works? Okay, it's still going. Sunday only. 54 years ago. Wow. Yeah, Sunday only. Doonesbury, so it draws it once a week. That's pretty hilarious. That's a good schedule. Just does one Doonesbury a week. Is it really still around? What the fuck? What's the most recent Doonesbury about Trump? What's Gary Trudeau's hot take about Elon? Well, I mean, I think these comics are a good example of like a serialized work. It's immediate. It's published in sort of like the local chapbook paper. And yet they collect into these long, kind of lifelong sagas, right? Like Peanuts. By the end of it, it's like the dude it's an epic. There's multiple books of thousands of fucking comic strips over decades with these fucking characters. And Crazy Cat, I mean, a lot of those fucking like surrealists or Cubists or Picasso, they were all inspired by those kind of serial comics of their era. I think it was called Crazy Cat or something, which was like a decades long fucking piece of art. And that's, it's almost like alternative comics, Harvey, Picard, Crumb. And that's kind of what I try to do with the vlogs it's meant to, the vlogs are meant to be like Doonesbury. They're meant to be like the Family Circus or Foxtrot or Calvin and Hobbes or Prince Valiant. I used to read the funny pages a little bit. Fucking Kathy, Garfield. Dilbert. God forbid we mention Dilbert. They're almost like poems. They kind of have a similar feel. They're small, they're short, they're brief. They're kind of like Zen. There's like this silent laughter. There's like this silent contemplative, like mind-blowing, or like, I don't know, quantum emotion that goes through you when you read them. The funny pages, are they dying? I don't know. Chris Pine or whatever, Chris Pratt makes Garfield movies. Is that how it works now? I don't know. Maybe I should try to be a cartoonist or something. I've done everything else. Including that, but I don't know. To me, it's like it's easier to just film shit, especially with an iPhone now. It's just like you can make pictures everywhere you go, just kind of capturing the awe-inspiring beauty that just you kind of bump into along the way as you circumnavigate the globe along your reality tunnel adventure of existence. You kind of beam into the Being John Malkovich portal intermittently, and the I Ching haphazard accidental highlight reel of that makes up the broken fragments of the vase of your life that you use to reconstruct the lost fucking moments. And I don't know, how do you draw it together for a bigger thing? I'm inspired by these kind of experimental genre pieces, but they're also not very popular successfully, as far as like commercial goes. It's not like they're making tons of money or anything. It's still kind of just like an esoteric pursuit. So you already got to be rich. With poetry, it's like that's kind of the lesson learned. You already got to be rich. The circumstances are probably as hostile. I mean, America has always been a place that's sort of famously hostile to artists and poets, especially, but now probably more than ever. I mean, I just saw a post that Poetry Society of New York posted about how they get like a lot of these organizations, like probably most of them, they, grant money is a huge part of their budget, and they get grants from the National Endowment of the Arts, which, the budget of the National Endowment of the Arts is not huge. I don't even think I think it's like $450 million. It's not even close to $1 billion, which, considering how much the United States spends on every fucking other stupid thing, it's almost nothing. And yet they're able to do a lot of good with it, and it actually is vital, right? Especially to a lot of poetry stuff. And there has been disruption in that arena over the past few years because of the way the economy has been fucked up, and just, small press distribution went out of business. And so there have been, disruptions and things. But anyway, with the recent Trump executive orders or whatever, he froze all of the fucking grants, right? He froze all of the federal everything. And so it froze all these grant payments for the National Endowment for the Arts. And it said that his executive order, I think, says that they're not going to give it to anybody who does DEI, which, what the fuck? I want to know exactly what determines that. Does the organization announce that, or is that like something that has like some official quantifiable like status and existence? Like, is that ever acknowledged that something is like a DEI hire, or like a DEI initiative, or like what, or are they just going to go in and cut whatever they want and just attribute it? Oh, it's DIA. We got to get rid of that. And so he said, it says they're going to freeze all of the funding, or remove all of the funding for organizations that have DEI, and they're going to give it to places that I forget exactly how it phrased it, but like deal with, or like express, or works of art that are like about like the Declaration of Independence. Like, it literally says this. Which to all the DI people is like the worst nightmare, like colonialist white person, lame, old fashioned thing to celebrate. And I can't imagine there's a lot of poetry organizations. That's not going to move the needle. There's not going to be a whole lot of poetry celebrating the Declaration of Independence. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the nonprofit sector, and I mean particularly the poetry world, because a lot of it is just grant money, right? And universities, right? Which is another thing they want to attack. They want to kind of undo all of the sort of woke institutional capture in the universities, and or just get rid of them. It seems like just get rid of them altogether. And so what's that going to do to the poetry industry? That's where all the poets work, is at these fucking universities. And so if there's no grant money and there's no university jobs, it's like there's no humanities. We have to get all these kids studying STEM. They all have to be studying STEM, whatever the fuck that is. I don't even know what STEM is. That's how dumb I am. That's how uneducated I am and out of touch I am. That's how useless my job skills are. I'm an English theater BA double major from 15 years ago. My job skills are completely, utterly meaningless in the job in the today's economy. Except maybe, unless I became a social media influencer or like wrote AI prompts. I guess that's what I would do with my degree. I'd write AI prompts. I don't know. Maybe the poetry world will weather through it anyway. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? We're already used to living on nothing, having nothing, no one paying attention, no money, no success, or even a modicum. If you even have a few people come up to you and be like, I loved your poem or whatever. I've had a few people tell me like I'm their favorite poet or something. It's like, that's as good as it gets. And that's plenty. I mean, if you can get a few people to say that, that means you could probably get a lot of people to say that. It's just, I don't know. Our society isn't exactly mass producing, good readers or critical thinkers or even smart people. It's mass producing people that want to take the easiest way out and just play video games and I don't know. I saw Chris Di Stefano is playing Madison Square Garden. That tells you everything you need to know right there about how meaningless it is to play Madison Square Garden. There is an overabundance of morons. That's why we have Trump. That's why our democracy has capsized. We've capsized under the weight of our own stupidity. That's what happens when you leave every child behind for 30 years. Those people they're all of voting age now. That's why we have Trump. Because every child that was left behind after 9/11, after Bush mangled, whatever the hell it was, Common Core, who the fuck knows, teaching to the test, something happened. And it was on purpose. And that's why we have Trump voters. Because it worked. The Republican plan to make everybody stupid as hell worked. So they can make porn illegal. Apparently they're gonna fine you if you jack off. That's the next move. It's gonna be like illegal to jack off. Did you know you voted for that, Gen Z man? There's no way they knew they were voting for that. Did they know they were? Well, they're all like, I guess, no fap or something. They're all incels. I mean, do they even jack off? Who the fuck knows? They're all so fucked up sexually. Who the hell knows what their relationship to that is? But it's going to be illegal. That's what makes no sense to me. It's like these people voted to outlaw Pornhub. It's like, how is that a part of their platform? It's just like, who likes that? I guess the Christian conservatives, but like, what the fuck are they watching? They're definitely watching freakier shit than that. They've got some kind of dark web shit or something. It's like they outlawed Pornhub in like Florida. What? They don't need it. God knows what they're doing. It's like it makes no sense. Florida's like the trashiest state. What difference does it make if they have fucking Pornhub or not? They're still trashy as hell. Sure, go ahead and outlaw Pornhub for some reason. That's purely performative. It's purely just optics. We know you're doing some fucking sinful shit down there, okay? Some weird shit. Anyway, okay, now I've got nobody watching. Great. This is the funniest part of the whole fucking show. That's what makes no sense to me. It's like, I get they want to take away women's right to abortion. They want to make it illegal to jack off. It makes no sense. Well, like what? It's just extreme. So what? Every time somebody ejaculates, it has to like create a baby. It's like what? Are we're going back to what? 1600 or something? Like these people really want to be Puritans or something? Like it's just weird because my brother was in Dallas for a work thing, so I was like sort of talking to him about it a little bit. Apparently, I heard somebody say Dallas is the next New York. I think Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Houston is now, is it the third biggest city? I think it's past Chicago. It's fourth in any case. And climbing. Gaining on Chicago, Houston. And I think I heard Dallas Fort Worth is like the fastest growing metro area. I think they did say it might overtake New York or something, which who the fuck knows? Is that oil industry? Is that energy? That's probably a result of deregulation and just like some kind of like bonanza of unscrupulous capitalism, I'm sure. But in any case, I don't know what the fuck they do in Dallas Fort Worth. Is it aerospace? Is it electronics? I think Texas Instruments. That's what my brother was saying. Texas Instruments is down there. They have a history of like a lot of tech, I guess, is moving to Texas, right? Putting the tech in Texas. Has anybody come up with that yet? I'm trademarking that. Okay, I'm copywriting that. I want $1 billion if .com people start to use that. Putting the tech in Texas. In any case, he said he went to some bar down there. It was like a sports bar, like eatery, beer, wings, all that kind of shit. And I think he sent me the Instagram of something of the place. The waitresses are wearing like the Borat bikini. It's like way beyond Hooters. It's like they're wearing like a rubber band or something, basically. Like it's like they're wearing like a fucking ribbon. They're wearing like one of those what are those squiggly like wrist band things? It's like that's like over their nipples, and they're wearing dental floss. I've never seen a restaurant like that. I've never seen a restaurant where they're like wearing that. It's like that's Dallas Fort Worth. That's where they like made Pornhub illegal. So it's like on the one hand, it's like they're super homophobic. They all have guns. You can just shoot anybody. Stand your ground law or whatever the fuck it is. No regulation, no income tax. Pornhub is illegal. Abortion's illegal. And yet the waitress is like wearing a fucking thong, and like a thong that like goes over her shoulders, and like it's like, how the fuck do you serve food in that? How do you wear that? It just felt like some kind of new frontier in dining to me. It felt very avant-garde. That's what I'm saying. That's where it's at. Dallas Fort Worth. We need to do a fucking reading down there. We need to take our poetry to the Dallas Fort Worth area. We need to take the bathtub nebula experience to the Dallas Fort Worth area. In any case, this has been Slang Foo. I think we covered it. I think we just about covered all of it. It's 2 a.m., so of course now we're just now getting hot. But it's time to go to bed. It's late. Maybe I'll go 5 more minutes just to go to 2 a.m. I can never stop. See, I can never quit. The Doonesbury of the live streams. So they said download anything you want to keep, basically. You cannot trust these big mega video sharing services. You know, they could terminate your account, God forbid. Let's hope it never happens. But they said download anything you want to keep. So somehow I've got to download thousands of hours of my first person stream of consciousness, highly personal, TMI, rambling, mansplanation, transcendentalist lecture series here. I've got to download it. My ASMR. This is just ASMR. You don't even have to give a fuck about what I'm saying. It's just meant to be soothing. For people that are into the sound of my voice, I'm not really sure if there's anybody out there. Probably not. I don't think I'm getting a lot of ASMR viewers. It's because I'm shadow banned. Or my content just sucks, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. It existed. We know. The people who were there, they know what it was like. They'll remember it. They'll remember the Matt Proctor live streams. The controversial, the much talked about. The much maligned, the much disputed. I don't know. It's just it's just such a great tool to be able to even do this. This is my idea of a perfect TV show. This is Crap's last tape. I thought we got into some funny shit. I thought it was worth seeing. You may have learned a thing or two, about the New Yorker or long poems. I was reading this thing about Wordsworth, this biography about Wordsworth. And it was, he was very politically radical. He was in France during the revolution. He wanted to see it up close. He fell in love with some woman in France who was older than him. Sort of like Thomas Jefferson, I think. And, he kind of spent the rest of his life kind of moping because he had to leave her in France when he went back to England. And he spent the kind of the rest of his life politically disillusioned because he saw the revolution in France kind of like break back and fail. And it did not go to England, it didn't spread. But he was like an anarchist. He was very politically, I think Shelley was too. I think they were, there was some sense like he was at that period in his life where he didn't know what he was going to do. He was just sort of like trying to figure it out. He was poor. He wrote, but he wrote like political things at like, the meeting of some political society he was a part of. That was like anarchist or, and he was just, they moved around a lot, moved to London, moved to the countryside, moved to there, blah, blah, moved to France for a couple years. But it said after, he returned to England after living in France, he kind of was politically disillusioned and kind of had this kind of bitter attitude. I didn't really get so far to find out like how he got into poetry from there. How he found out he was a poet, but it's an interesting correlation, something maybe you don't typically uh, associate with those guys per se, or poetry in general. But I think it does often go hand in hand, like actual, sincere, meaningful political action and being a poet. There are a lot of examples of poets really like walking the walk in ways that were like poetry, like sort of minor, and maybe not like affecting like some kind of giant corporation or something, but like were equally powerful in their own way. In the same way that poetry is. Like, yeah, sure, maybe not that many people pay attention. Maybe it's like Saturday Night Live or something, but there's a power to the attention of the people that are paying attention. And there's a concentration to it that kind of makes the effect equal. It kind of counterbalances the evil in the world, having the poets actually, and just the people who are politically actually very, activists and living it, that stuff does matter. And it does, providing those alternate ways of life, alternate paths of doing, certain people do see that and it helps them out. It helps liberate them from the giant systems that we're born into, the prisons, the giant prisons of modern life. Thank you for watching. Fight the power. And we'll be back on next week, okay? Have a great weekend, everybody. It's going to get warm, so next time I talk to you, it'll be warm. Yay. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Good night. Good luck. Good night. Good luck.